What's going on, man? It's your big brother K-Rino, man. And as y'all can see, it's been a while since we did a YouTube edition of K-Rino Radio, man. But I think this occasion calls for us to wipe the dust off of the YouTube interviews, man, and bring my brother on tonight because this man been doing it a long time. He's been in the game a long time. He's a veteran in the game. And he has, in my opinion, just been like under the radar, just creeping along doing his thing, but being very prolific and putting in a lot of work. And just by chance, I ain't gonna say by chance, we just dropped the project together. And we're gonna talk about that among other things tonight. I got my brother, the one and only Clymax is in the building. What's up, family member?
What's up, K-Rino? Good to see you.
How you feeling, man?
Good and good. Glad we got this project out. Appreciate your work and just appreciate you, man. Just doing your thing and just being you and dropping this music. We need it. So appreciate that.
We appreciate you, man. Let people know what we got, man. What's it? Because people don't know. Let people know what we have done. You know what I'm saying? And just tell them the name of the project and how it all came together and everything. Just break it down to the people.
Yeah, so we just dropped the project. Concrete Thoughts is what it's called. The concept is just, subject matters is just, just real life situations, like some topics, we touched on is like addiction and, just letting go of grudges and, just real life stuff, because that's really, the way the project came about is, it just kind of, I had a few songs, that I really liked, like and then I was like, man, I think K-Rino will sound dope on these. And I've worked with you in the past,
Yeah, no doubt.
I think back in the day, me and my homeboy Misery, shout out to Misery, we copped a verse from you. It was so I had a verse from you as well on another project. So, I had already worked with you. So I was like, man, I got a couple tracks. I think K-Rino will sound dope on these. And then, little by little, I had one, then I had two tracks with you, and I ain't had them released yet. So I started thinking, like, man, what would a project with K-Rino sound like with me and you on it? I always like, how you do your thing on the mic. I like how, like me, I always been a K-Rino fan, since way back, So, I just like the way, the way you rap and it's just, you got your own style, you know what I'm saying? So,
oh man, look, this is about you.
well,
Enough about me.
hey, you on the project too, it's both of our projects. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I just started thinking, like, hey, like what I like about you is how you make seem like the real life stuff, but you also very lyrical with it. So, when I was making these songs, I was like, hey, there's some K-Rino type stuff, what I would think.
Yeah.
So then, once you jumped on a few, I was like, hey, I'm gonna put a couple more tracks together. And I know you be busy and everything, so I try to come up with some concepts that I think you could, just grab on and just do your thing on. And that's pretty much how it came together. At the end of the day, I had like 10 tracks. I was like, hey, this, it's kind of short, but sometimes you got to be is keep kind of short. Sometimes just nowadays.
Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, and nowadays people attention span is is short. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm like, hey, 10 tracks, just keep it at that, and boom, that's pretty much how it came together. So
that's beautiful, man. So let people know about your background in music. Like, when did you get started? What drove you? What inspired you to say, man, I want to do this rap thing too? Tell people about, give them your origin story.
So I mean, I always been a fan of music. I like music since I was a little kid, but I never really thought about rapping or making music. I just liked rap. When I was young, back in my teen years, I had an older brother, so we'd be in the hood, and I was always like, the young cat. Me and my older brother's friend, he had a younger brother too, so it was just we were the young cats. We're around the older, they were, late teens. They were doing their thing, in the streets, whatever. So, you know, pretty much the soundtrack at that time was, Zero was really, the one that we grew up listening to. I remember this was like, back in the early 2000s. I remember hearing, like that I Found Me, all the old Zero tracks. that was really what was hitting in the streets, so that's what I grew up listening to. But I never really thought, hey, I want to rap, I want to do what he's doing. And that was I just like the music, Really we grew up on Zero, Gorilla Mob, big. But then, once I got my own computer, I started, doing my own, finding my own kind of songs that I like to, my own artists. I, I remember that one song, The Game Goes On. That was one of my favorite songs. Everybody knew Zero was on it, and everybody knew it was K-Rino. But like I said, when I grew up, it was mainly, Zero who we was bumping to. But me, I wanted to do a little more research. I got online. Hey, who's this K-Rino guy? I know a lot about Zero, and never really heard too many songs from K-Rino. So, I started. I found some of your music, and I remember hearing that Valley of Decision. Like, man, that song just blew my mind. I was like, I never heard nobody rap like that, and that's really what made me want to start rapping. When I heard, the way, like I said, the way you did your thing, I was like, I never heard nobody do that. Because, like I said, when we were growing up, it was just, oh, I'm a killer, I'm a G, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then never really, I'm like, that ain't really my thing. I'm not gonna be rapping about that. But once I heard the way, you put different subject matters in there, I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. I like how he's doing that. So that's really when I started getting into it. And back in high school, some of my friends and family they used to freestyle. So, we was into that too. But it was really, once I got exposed to that, like, that higher level lyrical stuff.
Right.
And, like I said, you're one of my influences. And also, Pat Poose was another artist that I listened to, very lyrical. So that's really what drew me to it. Once I heard people, rhyming, like just that the rhymes were just on another level. I'm like, hey, I want to try that. So, started recording, recorded a few songs here and there. And, it's really just how it started, and shout out to my boy Misery, because he's one of the artists that, back in high school, me and him linked up, and he was really on that lyrical stuff too.
Right.
So, that kind of just, molded me. And, I've been doing it ever since. It's just, pumping out music and trying to put out, good content, lyrical content, storytelling.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I like, so that's what I
Just
try to do.
mixing it up, and yeah, because that's the whole point of making a project. A lot of times it gets disappointing when you hear an artist who put an album out and it seems like 10, 12, 15 songs is all the same type of song.
Yeah.
The whole track list of similar stuff is like just a continuation. So yeah, the concepts, or I hope they coming back. A lot of underground artists still put together albums with multiple topics and concepts. So I hope that's coming back. I want to talk about something else, man, that you was doing a while back. And I've told people about this before, like this a few years ago. You was doing this thing where you was dropping a verse, like a verse a week, and consistently doing that, man. And uploading it to like your social media and all that, man. What made you decide to do that? Because for y'all who don't know, like I said, what he was doing, he was just every week, he would just come out and record himself, spitting the verse, you know what I'm saying? Just dope. But even as much music as I put out, I was like, man, that's a lot to do every week. What made you decide, hey man, I'm gonna do this thing where I put out these verses every week?
Yeah, I mean, I just told myself like, hey, if I want to make music, I got to be able to, make it quick and make it fast, but also, just it's just like an exercise. That's how I looked at it. Like, just I'm gonna get on this beat. I'm gonna get on this pen and pad. And, I'm gonna just, I got a week, to come up with a new concept, a new verse, whatever. And it helped me because, like I said, it helped me pump out the music, but also sometimes like as artists or even just, as people, we can be perfectionists sometimes. Like you don't want to put something out, or it got to be perfect, or, nah, I'm gonna wait because I'm waiting on this, or I want to do this. Like sometimes you just got to go. And, and that when I was doing it weekly, that's how it was. It was like, okay, sometimes I'll be like, man, this is dope, I like it, hey, let's get it. Other times I'll be like, man, I could probably do a little bit better, but I'm gonna just do what I can, and we'll see what happens. Because also as an artist, sometimes you make this song, you think it's so great, you put it on your project, and then people are liking the song that you thought was just all right. So that's why it just kind of helped me, as an artist, just steady pump out the product. And nowadays, whenever I want to write a song, I can do it pretty quickly because I've done it for like 2 years, just boom, bumping out a track, every week. So it really
You
helped me
said
with
you
my
said
writing.
you set a standard for yourself, but I was most impressed. Was I would say second most impressed. The fact that you was putting out good content like that. But the second thing, I was like, he memorizing all this stuff. I got a bad
Yeah.
memory, so in my mind, like I couldn't do that because I wouldn't be able to remember my lyrics. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but that was the dope thing about it. Was that hard for you to like? Even I know it's just probably 16 or something, but was it
Yeah.
hard for you to just memorize everything like that?
Well, I mean that's really how I record. I usually record. It has to be memorized because if I'm reading it, sometimes you could tell you're reading it. I mean, sometimes if it's fresh, I'll still read it, but a lot of times, while I'm writing it, I'm rapping it, so it just kind of sticks. And also, I feel like when you memorize it, it just comes out more naturally. When to say some a certain way. Instead of just reading it. Okay, I'm about to say this. I'm gonna get a little bit more high tone or whatever the case is. So yeah, like it's just the way I do it. After looking at it so much, after writing it so much, you just memorize it. Well, at least I do. So that's
I
that's how
can't
that
do.
happened.
I
But
can't
there
do.
was a few weeks where I'd be like, man, I had to record it a couple times because I couldn't get it. But it wasn't much editing but so yeah, it worked out.
Now, in terms of like just the last point on that, like tell people what that does in terms of establishing work ethic for you, because when you discipline yourself to say, I'm gonna do this every week, every week, every week, every week, what does that do to like ingrain that work ethic in you to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. It's just about building a work ethic. Like, it's like if you know what I'm saying, like if you work out or if you go play basketball every day, some days the shots ain't gonna be falling, but as long as you out, you're shooting them, you're getting your practice in, your workout in, that's what it is. So that's how I looked at it. Like, okay, in my head, like everything ain't gonna be perfect or everything ain't gonna be like the hardest verse, but as long as I'm putting it out and as long as I feel like it's up to standard, then I could live with it. And that's just pretty much, like you said, it's just a work ethic, and you just got to do it. And sometimes, even if you don't feel like it, you just got to do it. And at the end of the day, you'll be glad that you did.
So how many of those verses did you how long did you go? How many weeks did you go doing that?
I want to say I went probably maybe a year and a half, probably close to 2 years.
So that's probably close to 100 verses, right?
Yeah, yeah, about 100 verses.
You ever did anything with those, or you just kind of just still got
Yeah,
them up, or some of
yeah,
them?
they're part of the Chronic Flows project that I put out. So I got three in total, and so there was Chronic Flows Volume One. It had like 18 tracks, and the other one, another 18 or something like that. Then I got Part Three, but there was also some verses that I took that I really liked, and I'm put them on a different project. But yeah, they're mainly on the Chronic Flows. On Spotify, on all the streaming apps. If y'all want to check that out.
No question, man. We got the homie Clymax in the building, man, breaking it down, man. So if people look at you and say, man, wait a minute, this look like a young guy, man. This look like a young cat out here. But how long have you tell people how long you actually been pen and pad in the game, man?
Man, it's been a minute. It's been long minute. I mean, a decade for sure, over a decade. So, and like I said, I mean, you was on. I think one of our first shows that we did, it was with you because you were doing like this contest, and me and my homeboy Misery, like I said, we're kind of rapping together all the time.
Yeah.
So we had heard about it, and yeah, I was still in high school, probably like what 17, 16, something. And it
Wow.
was at the White Swan over there in Second Ward. I don't know if you remember, but
Oh
it
yeah, I
was
remember. Yeah. Yeah, we
it's
did a lot
funny
of
because
events over there.
we was deep. So
Yeah,
you and this is the first time I had met. It's the first time we had met you,
yeah,
and we was deep, probably like 20, 30 deep, and you made us go last because you thought we was gonna burn off after we performed. So yeah, I mean, hey, I've been we've been doing it a minute. Yeah, it's crazy.
no doubt, man. Climax is in the building. So
Yeah.
the Concrete Thoughts album is out. It's available right now, and it's out right now.
Yes, sir. It's Spotify
How
title,
many tracks
Apple
is
Music.
on it?
It's 10 tracks, like I said. Yeah, but I mean, it's some good quality in there. If you lyrical, like storytelling. The beats is banging, so just check that out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Look, and like I say, man, it's long overdue that people start to know who you are. I think that your work has spoken for itself over the years. It's just a matter of getting more people to know and understand. Your style is like it's real smooth, but it's real lyrical. You really are detailed in how you put your words together, and at the same time formulate it to make sense within the concept. So I think a lot of people will still listen to that and say, man, I like the way he represents and does his thing. You don't sound like anybody. I think that's another thing that people are gonna get when they listen to your music. That's not gonna be a person that they can look at and say, well, he kind of reminds me of this. It's like even when people think that they are giving you a compliment when they say that, I always took that as an insult when people say, well, you kind of rap like I don't rap like nobody. So is your style just more of something that organically just evolved, or you purposely crafted to say, this is gonna be me, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm not sounding like none of these other cats?
Yeah, I mean, it's just me. Like, and a lot of times, it's the voice that, sometimes the voice will sound similar to another artist. I guess my voice don't sound like anybody else's, but, it's just like, I like just, I don't know, I listen, like I said, I listen to a lot of music, and a lot of stuff I listen to is lyrical. So, when I'm putting stuff together, I've heard so many punchlines. I know, okay, I don't want to say that. I want to say something that I ain't never heard nobody say. So
Yeah.
that's how I approach songs. But also I try not to force it. Because sometimes you could try too hard. Like, I want to use these big words, this and that. I
Right.
just let it kind of fall in place. That's how I approach it.
Right. Right. No doubt, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. I think originality is one of the things that's lacking in the game today. And it's I think artists are under so much um artificial pressure. I don't want to call it actual pressure. I think that is pressure that they create in their own mind, that I gotta make this dope. I gotta sound like this guy because that's
Yeah.
what's hot. I gotta win. I gotta win. But that's really a self-created type of pressure that they put on themselves. I think it's best for artists to just, hey man, I'm just gonna find me and do me to the max, and people will detect, if it's real or if it's made up, man. So you've been doing a great job. You ain't never sounded like nobody since I knew you. You never reminded me of no other artist, and I think that's a standout thing, especially in this day and time. What do you listen to on a daily basis? You listen to any of the new stuff, or you caught up in the old school, or you in between, or what do you listen to in terms of rap?
I mean, I listen to the news. Man, like I said, you probably think I'm talking about you a lot, but this is true. I'll be jamming K-Rino. Like, just, the other day, I'm out there, shooting at the park, got my playlist of K-Rino. I listen to a lot of the old stuff, it's crazy because I was thinking about this, not that long ago. Like, a lot of times, like the music that we listen to when we're in our teens, that's usually what we stick with, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure for you, like, you say you listen to I know you listen to a lot of the old stuff, and that's probably what you grew up on, so you really ain't trying to hear nothing else. It's kind of like, I mean, you might hear some, but you ain't really just gonna listen to it like that. And I'm the same way, like, I jam Zero, K-Rino, but I jam some of the new stuff too. I like some of the new stuff is very melodic, with they be kind of singing on rap. I kind of like that. I try to incorporate that a little bit too. So, yeah, I try to listen to everything, but mainly I'm jamming old stuff that I grew up on, like K-Rino and Zero. That's pretty what I'm jamming to.
And then and it ain't nothing wrong with that. It's like, because you made a good point. It's like I don't chase after anything new to listen to, but if it comes across my ears and I like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Like me and Blank was in San Antonio last night, and at the event, in the mission they playing some stuff, and I was hearing some stuff I never heard. The DJ playing some new stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's all right there. But I don't chase after it. But because it's nothing wrong. People say, man, you set in your way. Ain't nothing wrong with being set in your ways if the ways are good ways. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If my ways ain't hurt nobody, then it is what it is, man. let's
Yep.
transition over into more like on the business side of it, because as an artist who's been in it a long time, I know that you have to, and an independent artist as well, you had to at some point figure out how to establish your business side of the game as well. So what was that like learning about, all right, man, I ain't on no label. I'm doing all this myself. What was that process like of navigating, figuring out how to get my stuff on the platforms, how to do my publishing, and how has that been for you?
I mean, it's been cool because like when I started, it was still the mixtape era. There's a lot of mixtapes being sold. Online wasn't big yet. So that's what we were doing. Like I said, me and my boy Misery, we would drop a mixtape. We'll go in school, we hand out demos. Send them copies, and that's how we were doing it. But I think it was towards like 2012, and I want to say maybe 2012 or 11, around there. Maybe like in the early 2010s, the online really started hitting. I remember like that Piff being out there, and then there was a few other retailers that were out. iTunes was one. So, and you just kind of, I started learning about, okay, the distribution and doing that. But, it's crazy to see how it's evolved now, because there's so many places where you can listen to music. And it's kind of cool that once you get in with a distributor, that they'll put your music everywhere. It can be on Spotify, Tidal, whatever.
Right.
And but I really started digging into it probably like I want to say like 2017, 18. I started learning more about publishing, like you said, and of course the copyrights, all that stuff. And you got to get your publishing right, because that's half the pie right there. You got the recording, yeah, you're gonna make money off the sales, but if you ain't got your publishing, you ain't getting your songwriter credit.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't learn this till what, about 5, 6 years ago. So I didn't know any of this when I was young. I just wanted to rap, but you got to learn the business side of it, because I know artists right now that they don't even be registering their music with the pro, with BMI or ASCAP. So it's literally, and especially if you popping and you ain't even got your music registered, like, you losing out on money. And whenever a label comes around, first thing they gonna do, you're gonna sign over your music, and then they gonna publish your stuff. And now they getting paid in perpetuity for
Yeah.
all them songs you got. So that's why I just I picked up on it, and I try to put people up on game. Whenever if they don't know about it, I just try to spread the knowledge and let people know, like, hey, get you published. The crazy thing is, it don't even cost any money.
Yeah.
All you got to do is, you might spend a couple hundred on your publishing company if you really want to get into it. You get your publisher share and your songwriter share. But I mean, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of people probably don't. But this stuff you got to know, and
You got
I just a little research, and you'll be good.
Yeah, because I always tell people, man, it's like, nothing is insignificant in this business. So the song that you feel like, oh, this little song I made, this now, you don't know who gonna gravitate and latch on to that song and say, hey man, I want to put this in a movie. I want to put this like I was at my favorite restaurant, the Olive Garden, one night. And, the guy that was serving me, he was like, man, you ain't seen the TV show Mo? And I was like, I didn't know what it was. So he was like, yeah, I know. I said, no, you need to check it out, man. Check it out. They got your music in it.
Boy,
Like,
K-Rino just published it, right.
yeah, so I'm like, ding, light bulb. Look, hold on. I just happened to have one. I was like, ding. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, so I went and watched it. And then I enjoyed the actual series because I binge watched the whole series. But when I saw the episode where the song they had Game Goes On there, I was like, okay, yeah, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? So
You ain't
you
even got to
never
do
know.
nothing.
Yeah, you never know. And see, and people talk about from a business standpoint, a lot of business people in different fields, they'll speak about how important it is and how valuable it is to reach a level where you make money while you sleep. You make money while you're not even doing it. And certain seeds have to be planted in order to do that. So through, like you're saying, through the digital platforms, through publishing and all that. Those are ways that you are generating revenue with your music just by walking around, because somebody all over the world is getting that download. It's doing that stream, even though streams is paying crumbs, whatever it is. So it's about setting yourself up. It's about just setting up the board. But when you're ready to make your moves, it's gonna work in your favor.
That's right. No, but she said it perfectly, and that's how I look at it too. The song, like you said, you never know. Maybe 5 years, 10 years, somebody finally saw it. They put it on a TikTok video or whatever is popping at the time. And next thing you know, the song blows up. And I mean, yeah, it's all. But you got to have the the quality first. Like the game goes on. I mean, that's a banger right there. So I'm just glad you guys are publishing. I'm glad
Well, but also too though, see, a good song don't matter. It's like we done heard a song and we like, man, what is that? But it may fit what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? It may look, if somebody come to me and say, man, we making this movie and we just got a comedy part now where we talking about trash music, and we heard one of your songs and just, no disrespect, we think it's trash, it'll fit right there. I'm like, well, put it in there. Because as a businessman, you're like, yeah, let's get it. So I mean, we never know. We never know. One man's trash. You know how it go down, but it's a good lesson for a lot of young artists, man. So the album is out. Concrete Thoughts is out right now. Tell them everywhere they can get it, and I'll put the links in the description, so they can check it out when they're checking this interview out.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and like I said, whatever you listen to, it's gonna be on there. On YouTube, there's only a few tracks, but there's the links on those tracks to Spotify. So just jam it out.
You're doing physical copies?
Yeah, I got a few physical coming, and I'm gonna get with you on that too. I kind of ordered them a little bit late, but I am gonna get them, and like I said, I'll make sure to get some to you.
Already, man. Well, you're my brother, man. I appreciate it always, man. You always looked out for your big brother, man. I thank you for that. So we're going to definitely push this thing, man. Y'all make sure y'all support. Go get the album, Concrete Thoughts. Don't go get it tomorrow. Don't go get it next week. Go get it right now, man. R-A-T, right now, man. Go and get it and support the movement, because y'all going to like it, man. I'm telling you, I'm guaranteed y'all going to like this project, man, without a doubt. So, anything else you want to let the people know before we let you get out of here?
No, that's it. If you ain't jammed that to the K nieces, you better get on.
Hey man, see this kind of dude he is, man. He's a humble guy. He's always trying to throw it back on. Man, it's about you, man. We appreciate the love, brother. And y'all go get that album, man. My boy Clymax, one love, man. K-Rino Radio. Peace and blessings.
All right.